I'd like to call the General Committee meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening in grateful appreciation for the many blessings that you send our way. We are thankful for our hardworking students, our supportive parents, and our dedicated staff who give tirelessly each day in an effort to move our school district forward. Be with our staff as they try to meet the needs of every child and give them both the patience and wisdom to know how to be the best possible role model and nurturing adult for each child in their charge. As we enter the second quarter of our school year, we pray for continued guidance and support as we strive to give our best efforts. These things we pray in your name. Amen.
Ms. Lamont, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Foche?
Mrs. Acevedo? Here. Mr. Campbell?
Here.
Dr. Kraft? Mr. Egan?
Here.
Mr. Gaines?
Here.
Mr. England?
Here.
Mrs. Dysart is not with us. Mrs. Lemoyne?
Here.
Dr. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Long is not with us this evening, and Mr. Warner.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Foche. We're going to item number 4, is Super News. We have Ms. Snyder here.
Good evening.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. England. Good evening. We're going to begin by discussing a couple of upcoming events. The first is going to be Shaman High School's Ring Day is scheduled for this Thursday, October 15th. As you all know, the students will begin their parade, their car parade, at around 8:05. 8:30 is the senior breakfast, and the ceremony itself will begin around 9:45. We invite all board members to join us in this wonderful event that celebrates the achievement and leadership of the class of 2018. Speaking of achievements, this Sunday at 12:30, 4 of our Shaman High School students will be competing in the Donald W. Woods vocal competition. This opera competition is open to the public and free, and we hope that the community joins us in celebrating our students' incredible vocal talents. Shaman High School's homecoming game is Friday, October 20th. Pre-game activities begin at 6:30, and the homecoming court will be announced during halftime. Finally, Tuesday, October 24th is Report Card Conference, and the times are high school 3:30 to 7, middle school 4 p.m. to 7:15, and elementary 4:30 to 7:45. So that'll about do it for upcoming events, and at this point I'm going to hand it over to the men of Penn to start off Super News.
Welcome to Arlene Merrill Elementary School. It's time for Super News!
Hello, I'm Allie Schneider.
And I'm Barry Lemoyne, and welcome to this edition of Super News. We're on location today at the brand new library at the Arlene Merrill Elementary School.
And we'll kick things off with a quick look at Chalmette High School's Owl Week. No one has more school spirit than the students at Chalmette High School, and that school spirit was on full display during Owl Week. A long-standing tradition, Owl Week is truly a celebration. From themed dress-up days to after-school wall painting, students at CHS have the opportunity to show their school pride in a number of ways. The week ends with a pep rally where nearly 1,900 students cheer on the performing groups and the fall athletic teams. The class that shows the most school spirit wins the coveted Spirit Stick, and this year's winner was the senior class.
Families and community members also show school spirit by their involvement in school activities. Our schools work closely with parents and families to help bridge the gap between parents, teachers, and administrators. This month, several schools opened its doors to parents and grandparents to celebrate the one thing they all have in common, our children. At St. Bernard Middle School, moms joined their students at a Moms and Muffins while dads sipped coffee and ate donuts with Dads and Donuts. Grandparents also participated in the fun at Grandparents' Day at several of our elementary schools. You know, research has proven that a parent or other caregiver's involvement in their child's education improves student achievement. So if you're looking for a way to help your child and our schools, volunteer. You can contact your principal or visit our school website for more information.
And now we'll check in with some super news regarding our music programs, as 4 Shaman High School students recently advanced to the second round of the competitive opera competition, the Donald W. Woods Senior Vocal Competition. CHS and NOCA had the highest number of students advancing to the next round in this competition that focuses on academic art songs sung in either Middle English, French, Italian, or German. The musical program in St. Bernard Parish Schools is one of the best in the state, offering students a wide range of opportunities to develop their talents in either musical theater, choir, jazz, and now even opera. Congratulations to Kai Bowie, Kayla Gonzalez, Brevin LaSalle, and Tatum Trevino, and good luck in the next round of the competition.
Hey Alex, what do opera singers and fishermen have in common?
They both like to hit the high seas.
Ooh, exactly. And now we'll move from our musical stars to some real stars as our planetarium continues to educate and entertain. Come enjoy a show under the stars this month at the MoMA Center. Doors will be open to the public on Saturday, October 14th with 4 shows that day beginning at 10 a.m. That day also coincides with the Old Araby Sugar Festival, where talented students from Araby Elementary and Shaman High School will perform on stage. The Planetarium in Old Araby will also be open on Wednesday, October 18th for a 6:30 p.m. showing. For more information, visit the link at the bottom of the screen.
Each month on Super News, we take time to celebrate the people who work tirelessly for our students. This year, we are excited to not only celebrate our fantastic teachers, but also our volunteers who make so much possible for our kids. Let's take a look at this month's features as presented by the members of our school board.
To kick off this year's teacher feature, the St. Bernard Parish School Board highlighted Maria Genovese at Goche Elementary. Principal of Goche Elementary, Lisa Young, said Mrs. Genovese has very high expectations for our students and brings out the best in them. Ms. Genovese is also the sponsor for the JF Goche Academic Games team. She works tirelessly with the team to increase their knowledge and prepare them for tournaments. We are very lucky to have her.
Everyone hold up 10 fingers, and we're gonna bundle them. And then what do? Shift them towards the bigger place value. So remember that on your test.
Teaching English to those of our students who are joining our school families from other countries is not easy. But Randy Bradley, ESL middle school teacher, does a fantastic job of helping those students succeed in their classes. Mr. Bradley does a great job at all 3 middle school campuses, and Dr. Senegar, principal of Andrew Jackson, said, Mr. Bradley is truly a team player, and I truly appreciate everything he has done for our school and our students.
If it's I am, he is, we are. Correct. Very good.
Here in St. Bernard, we know that the greatest gift a person can give is of our time. We're so grateful to all those who volunteer in our schools. And this month, we'd like to celebrate 2 incredible women who volunteer at Chalmette Elementary School. They're known as the Munchie Monday Ladies. Eva Forbes and Kathy Fisher have been volunteering at Chalmette Elementary School for years, working in the concession stands selling snacks. Thank you, Ms. Forbes and Ms. Fisher. Chalmette Elementary School is a wonderful place, in part due to you.
Thanks for all you do, and thanks for tuning in.
That will do it for this edition of Super News, where we always let
The Super News roll. We'll see you next time.
That will do it for
No,
tonight.
well, Mrs. Nina, let me just say this, the cultural arts,
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the most fantastic programs we have down here in St. Bernard Parish. Right now, it brings out the talents that some people don't realize that we have down here, of the students, the quality of students that we have here. Sometimes that's all you hear is negative stuff sometimes, but that's just a small 1 or 2%. This is unbelievable. I'm so proud of these kids, these young people from Shaman, unbelievable. And all our students. And sorry. And also, and also for the Grandparents' Day, we have a great grandbaby, all right, that's going to Davies, and that was fantastic too. You know, we had a joyful time with her, you know, and that's another good program. So thank you for all your efforts.
Absolutely.
Anybody else would like to talk to Ms. Nina? Ms. Foche?
I just want to piggyback on that. I know we do great things and have great programs for kids in every aspect, academically, sports-wise, cultural arts, and in many very different extracurricular. But I think breaking into this opera competition, I think there were 25 students, if I'm correct, in the greater New Orleans area that made that next round of cuts. And we had 4 of the 25. The only school that had more than ours was NOCA, who, you know, specialized in some of these areas. No other school, if I'm understanding, Mr. Gassar, he's standing there ready to elaborate on it, had more than one. And Annalise Gassar does a fantastic job vocally with these students. And I'm just thrilled that we have 4 young people who can excel in that type of a competition, and what we're looking at is statewide. Mr. Gassar, you wanted to elaborate on that a little bit?
You guys, you know, you look at a competition without knowing the background, and it's wonderful, but when you begin to understand the background of what takes place, it suddenly becomes so much more. First of all, New Orleans Opera is the oldest opera company in America. So the Donald W. Wood competition is truly one of the most prestigious opera competitions that exist in America. And St. Bernard Parish kids had the opportunity to compete against, put a name to it, just put a name to the other schools that we were potentially looking at, from NUCA, you know, from NOCA to Newman, the whole gamut of outstanding schools. This is quite an accomplishment. It really is. It's something to be, I think, very proud of. And I don't know that our own kids quite understand the magnitude of what they've been able to accomplish. So it truly is an outstanding opportunity for us. And it also puts our kids in that circle of truly some of the most affluent and culturally enriched people within the greater New Orleans area. And it's, in doing so, not only is it putting those kids there, but it's putting our community in a different light. Our community is being seen as capable, and our school system as being strong. So it's truly an accomplishment.
Dr. Kraft?
Too often in school districts around the nation, and as well as Louisiana, they get a budget crunch, and you know the first thing they cut is the cultural arts. And we're fortunate that we're able to afford this, because this is an investment in the future. It's an investment in these young people, and it's something that they're going to carry them the rest of their lives. And we applaud everything that's being done to promote cultural arts in this, and we appreciate our staff, administration, the teachers, everyone that plays an important role with the students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kraft. Anybody else? Yes, Darlene?
Can you please repeat the information of the location and time? And it's open for anyone to come?
Sure. It is, let me just make sure I'm saying this correctly. It's open to the public. It is on Tuling's campus. And I don't have the exact location right in front of me. We're on Tuling's campus, but I will send that to you shortly. Oh, it is on your, yeah, it's on the sheet. I'm sorry. Tulane University's Dixon Hall. You guys have that on the...
One of the true anchor points culturally in the greater New Orleans area, so it's no small no small feat for our kids to be singing there.
But the amazing thing, like I said before, it brings out the talents that we have in the young people in St. Bernard Parish, and it's truly a blessing.
The other side of this, ladies and gentlemen, is that so often we as a community appreciate kids singing and dancing and doing musical theater, which is certainly fun and wonderful for the community. But when the shoe falls, what ultimately matters is kids competing and doing academic music. And that's what this competition was about. Music that might not be the most popular sometimes, but this is what the experts value and judge us on. So,
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Okay, we'll move on to item number 5. Mr. Casar, you might as well just stay right there. And glad to have you here this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. England. Well, it's my privilege once again, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the 24th time I've had the opportunity to do this, to celebrate with you the opportunity to celebrate in young people's lives the hope of what this ribbon's really about. When Nancy Reagan started this process, a lot of people have made fun of her and made fun of it, when in fact it was probably one of the most brilliant campaigns ever launched. Nancy Reagan was a woman of epic connections with endless financial possibilities and brought the greatest minds together at the time, realizing that so many of her friends, their families were being decimated by alcohol and substance abuse. And launched in America was this campaign, and now, as evidenced by Mr. Warner with his pink tie and Mrs. Lemoyne with her pink coat, that there's so many and so many campaigns that now run in America following that same concept of bringing public awareness to some of the most critical needs within our community. And, you know, this process ever evolves. First of all, there's the need for awareness, that our kids and their parents can understand just how important substance abuse and substance use is really all about. And that journey is a long and complicated one. And for a very long time, the national standard was essentially, don't cross this line. When you cross this line, there's no hope. But scientifically, the good news, and this is still kind of what we present to our middle school kids and our 9th graders especially, that don't cross this line. And we do it creatively, we do it with fun, we do it with some theatrical abracadabra, because we've got to hold young people's interest. But now more than ever, there's evidence to show that there is recovery hope medically. And that's a new piece this year that we're going to bring forward, because realizing every one of those young people in our middle schools that are going to experience our rallies, every one of our 9th graders that are going to experience this, just like all of you have connections of people who have been substance exposed and substance hurt. And to be given a message of hopelessness and no ability to come back is not the way to treat this problem in the 21st century. There is hope. It's not an easy process, but there are many people who are standing among us in the community that have shown that it can be done. So that's the new bend in our rallies this year. We're working with the Sheriff's Department, with juvenile, and bringing together both law enforcement, education, and a theatrical concept to bring it to life in kind of a fun way. We're going to be using Chalmette's sophomores. Those kids are going to be the major voices going to the middle schools and also speaking to their fellow 9th graders. And that will occur throughout the week of Red Ribbon Week, which starts on the 23rd of October and goes all the way through Halloween. And the poster that you see is connected to the national campaign And the national slogan, which is what you're wearing, ladies and gentlemen, that the future is key. And what we were able to do with this was kind of manipulate it a little bit. And Mrs. Sarah Felt, actually, art teacher at Davies Elementary, this is her beautiful work that you see. And all of our schools will have these posters. And we're going to target this concept. You hold the key. Every one of you young people hold the key to your future. And you notice the B that's right in the center, that's a nod to our new school, to Miro Elementary. And their ribbon is a little bit different. Their ribbon is all about be drug-free. And we're going to use that as an entire year campaign about be ambitious, be hopeful, be polite, be kind, be a worker, to move kids forward in a very constructive fashion, to know that it's all about being and being somebody that's going to matter. So that's kind of a quick summary, ladies and gentlemen, of some of the things that's going to take place.
Thank you, Mr. Consort. This is just not a local issue. This is a nationwide issue,
Yes, sir,
with
it
drugs.
is.
And most of these young people, they have peer pressures, as far as to go get the drugs and that. And even on the news, it was last weekend, I think it was, on CBS is where the babies are already addicted to drugs because of the parents, which is a shame, as far as that goes.
Well, Mr. England, what happens, ladies and gentlemen, with that is substances alter your brain chemistry. It's not a fun thing to talk about, but that's in fact what happens. We are a combination of intestinal and brain chemistry that works together. And when you start to alter that, it's a complicated process. Fixable, but complicated. And we've seen that in babies all the way from the 80s with crack babies being born all the way to the present. So it all starts with education. And then the second part of it, obviously, is the opportunity to bring mental, emotional, and medical help. With that, and Ms. Voce, thank you for the reminder, I appreciate it. In your folders, ladies and gentlemen, today was a really red letter day that took place for us in our community. I've been meeting with the administration at Metropolitan Human Service District for almost a year. And as you know, they've opened a clinic, which is in Araby, and that clinic provides very needed services, both emotional, mental, some medical, and certainly substance abuse services for adults within the community. The bus route now has been altered, and you can get off right across the street. So transportation, which is so often an issue for our community, especially our most needy members of the community, the bus will bring you right next to the door. What we're going to do with Metropolitan is we're going to produce a flyer that is going to lay out what services are available, what days of the week, what numbers to call, how do you make an appointment, so that our principals can put into the hand of needy parents, ill parents, because let's face it, our principals are seeing those situations. And to be able to say to a parent, rather than being condescending, but being concerned, there's help for you. You're struggling. There's a possibility of getting some help. And then very, very importantly, Metropolitan has committed a very large sum of money to starting an adolescent facility Mondays through Thursday as of the end of November, so that students who are in need of mental help, emotional help, or substance abuse help will be able to receive that at the clinic Monday through Thursdays, 4:30 till 8 p.m., which has never happened in our community for one group of services to be completely brought together for the whole wellness concept of young people within our community.
That's great to hear, Mr. Kassar. We have Mr. Gaines would like to say something.
Well,
Well, a couple of weeks ago, we had a visitor at the Kiwanis Club meeting from the Sheriff's Office, and the Sheriff's Office is on that same wavelength that you just talked about, that line you just pointed out to us. They also said, well, there is hope as well. They have a recovery unit now at the Sheriff's Office with, they supplying this kind of information, anonymously, as a matter of fact, without any retribution. If you like our students could come to us and say, hey, I have a problem. We'll take care of that student as much as we can. The Sheriff's Department is even saying the same thing now, which is amazing.
And we'll have services, Mr. Gaines, in the community, unlike ever before. Previously, ladies and gentlemen, if a person had no insurance, even if you had insurance, it became very complicated. But if you had no insurance, students needed to be brought across the river to Algiers or to Elysian Fields, and the story is very complicated. You'd receive some services in one location, then the social services with family counseling would take place somewhere else. So parents had to move kids around, and it became much more complicated. The gentleman, the doctor who will be in charge of the services is one of Dr. Howard Osofsky's doctors from LSU, and understands our community and is very enthusiastic about coming and making a difference. So I think there's some wonderful things that are beginning to occur.
And the main thing, too, is to make sure that anybody who's afraid to come talk to you, they can come talk to any one of these board members that's sitting around this table, yourself, or anyone at the Sheriff's Department or the Kiwanis Club, any group in St. Bernard Parish. Just come talk to us. We'll get you the help. And that's the main thing, to get them the help and get them on the right path.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
We're going to take a few-minute break. Ms. Snyder would like to take a photograph, please. Thank you. What do you want to
We're going to do it right now.
What are we doing?
We're going to move this, but you know what? I'm going to try to keep this in a frame because of your...
Okay. You guys, just another one of those things about how many wonderful people that are involved in the things that are going on in our schools. Karen Mallory is done to help make great music happen chorally for our kids at Shaman High School, y'all. She really is. She's an amazing lady.
Thank you, Mr. Casal, for all your efforts. Okay, we'll move on to item number 6. Mr. Gaines, it's educational.
We have a discussion of the elementary English and language arts curriculum and intervention program. I see Ms. Leanne Holton here.
Hello. Good evening. When I was asked to present my ELA curriculum, or my elementary ELA curriculum to you guys, I could not do it without telling you a little bit about math and science and social studies, because everything is always ever so embedded now in complex text and reading problems that kids have to break apart, and it all goes back to reading. But I am going to go through it very briefly to tell you a little bit about our whole program, okay? I'm going to start with ELA. We have 2 programs for ELA. We have a K through 2, which is called Core Knowledge, and we have a 3 through 5, which is with Wisdom. Both of these curricula are Tier 1. That means that they've been approved by the state as curriculum that aligns to state standards. Not all the curriculum out there aligns to state standards, but we did adopt these 2, which go along with state standards. In K through 2, it's basically teaching children how to read, and in 3 through 5, it's dealing with complex text. Now, what we had to do in 2nd grade is incorporate a little supplementary book to start the kids using little passages and then doing A and B type questioning like they have on the state test, because we felt like we needed to prepare the kids in 2nd grade for when they got to 3rd grade, when they started that type of questioning where the kids have to look at a passage, then answer a question, which is A, and then the B question relates to the A question. So they have to go back and find the evidence in the text that will give them the answer to the B question. Okay, it might be a definition, and then they have to find it in a text, but it's not there. You have to look at a whole strain of things to find out what the correct answer is. And that's what our teachers are doing, teaching the kids a lot of strategies, okay? Both of these series are scaffolded to deal with kids on the lower end of the spectrum, kids who are ELL. Also, they have challenging activities for children that are above the curriculum. They integrate good questioning techniques, text-dependent questioning, which is prevalent in everything that we do, and writing, which also aligns to state testing. And writing is also incorporated with reading, because it's not just tell me about your summer vacation. Writing is now reading a passage and then writing a response to something they ask about the writing in your writing. So they have to put they have to start with the beginning, and then they put evidence from the text, but then they have to put their own opinion in to validate what's in the text, and then they conclude it. Okay, so writing is also contingent upon knowing how to read and knowing how to look through text. And at 4th and 5th grade, they sometimes give them 2 texts that they have to read and then write from those 2 texts. So it's all incorporated into this curriculum. So we're very pleased with we're seeing some really good things in the schools with Core Knowledge and with the Wisdom curriculum. In the early grades, they spend probably about between an hour and a half to 2 hours on the core program every day, and in 3 through 5, probably about an hour and a half. 90 minutes on the core program, okay? Then I'm going to tell you about what happens the rest of the time with this curriculum, okay? The next thing is math. As you know, we've adopted math, Eureka Math, for grades K through 5, which is very, very complex. The questioning is just like the questioning on the state test. Children have to really decipher what the question is asking. We're teaching them strategies to take the questions apart to see exactly what is being asked, because a lot of times kids miss the question because they didn't read the directions or they didn't read the actual question to see what they were supposed to focus upon. So we're really big into that. And the math curriculum also is scaffold for lower learners and ELL students, and also it has challenging activities for the upper students. All right, so then we get to data collection. So what do we do with data? I'm probably going to say it two different ways as I'm talking. But what do we do with data? Well, as you know, in the elementary schools, we have a teacher leader at every grade level, and our principal and our assistant principal and our teacher leaders every week have a PLC meeting, which is a professional learning community meeting. And during that meeting, they take apart data and examine it to see what we can do with individual students having difficulties or individual groups of students having difficulties, that we can work with them in another capacity. So what we use is we use screening data for assessments. We did use the diagnostic tests that were put out by the state for grades 3, 4, and 5. We did use those diagnostic tests. And then we used STAR Early Literacy for kindergarten, which goes over reading progressions. And then STAR Math for for first and second grade, which goes through the math practices that the kids need to know. And then STAR Reading for first through fifth grades. And what we do with that is we look at all the data. We have different data points for every student, and we say, okay, where's this student in STAR Reading? Where's this student in on the diagnostic test? And the next thing we use is the Ssri Inventory, which tells us the Lexile level of the kids. So where are they reading? Like at what capacity are they reading? Are they below level? Are they above level? Are they on level? But it tells us where they're reading. That's called their Lexile level. So we use this data in PLC meetings, and the teachers do a wonderful job of looking at questioning, say on a test, and saying, okay, why did the kids miss this question here? Let's read it to see why do we think the kids miss this question. And it might be because they didn't understand the vocabulary in the question, or they may have made just an error in computation. You know, we're looking to see why the kids are missing what they missed, not just putting X's on it and moving on. We're looking and we're really delving into the data so that we can help individual students. Okay, so then we go to the next part of it, which is intervention. And like I told you before, an hour and a half to 2 hours is spent on core reading, and then about an hour to an hour and a half spent on math. And then we get into intervention time, which we've built in to the lower grades an hour a day, and the upper grades may have a little less time than that, depending on their schedules, because we have to fit in science and social studies for 45 minutes each in the upper grades. But what we do during intervention time is we've asked, and the teachers are doing a wonderful job of this, that the teachers are getting their class and they're weekly turning in tracking data on the kids to see where these kids are moving, and then what are they going to do intervention-wise with their groups of kids in the classroom. But the main thing for intervention, the major resource for intervention, is that classroom teacher. So every day when you go into a classroom during intervention time, the teacher will be sitting at a table with a group of kids. It'll be a different group of kids probably each day that need a particular type of help to get to where they're supposed to be. Now, one of the resources that I told you about before, that Ready Common Core book with the AB questions, you'll see a teacher sometimes going over the questioning in that book with the kids, showing them, teaching them how to look for the data in the, not the data, but the text, looking through the data to see the text to see what the answer is that they're asking them. Because a lot of times kids don't know what to look for, so we have to get the teachers to actually sit with them and teach them and train them how to look for data in complex text. So the classroom teacher is the main resource, but then for ELA, Lexia is our main resource. And Lexia focuses on phonemic awareness, then goes to phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and then comprehension. And it's a progression. Like a kindergarten child may start in level 1, and he may advance maybe to level 3, because there's only 18 levels of it. We require that every student in our parish do 15 minutes of Lexia daily. So every day, they get on Lexia on a daily basis to build up those skills, whether they're still on phonemic awareness or whether they've progressed to comprehension. We've had some fifth graders who've already tested out of it, which is wonderful because it only goes through fifth grade. So we're really trying to build up the capacity for that, and then after the kids in fifth grade test out of it, then we're going to use programs like ReadWorks Digital, which are challenging activities for those advanced students during that intervention time. So instead of them going back on Lexia, they'll be doing other challenging activities. And the teachers can use whatever intervention she feels necessary to get the kids on the skill level that they need to be. Social studies is really probably one of the most complex things that we have now. It's all document based, so the kids have to look at documents and then answer questions about documents. But that sounds easy, but what they ask them to do is to read a question, and then they might have to look at 3 documents plus use their background knowledge to answer a question in social studies. So it's very complex, and we are using a lot of resources in social studies, but also the reading takes part in that too, because if they can't read, they can't go through these documents to see what the questioning is that they need to know. And in science, we're excited because we've established a little science lab in each school. Now, we're not talking about Bunsen burners, but we're talking about a lab that would have all the materials that the teachers need to do the standards on a hands-on approach, with a hands-on approach to the standards, okay? So if you look in a school, ask the principal to show you the science lab so you can see what the kids are doing in the science lab. Now, some of the teachers take the materials from the science lab and bring it back to their classroom sometimes, but we're trying to encourage them to go to the lab and use the lab and do some science activities. Because science has changed too, because it's basically a lot of hands-on. And we've done a really good thing lately is we've incorporated all the activities that the planetarium has to offer into our science curriculum. So we put that on a thing called Curriculum Connector, which we use at every grade level up through middle and high school too, where the teachers just go to this thing on the computer and click on, okay, this is the resource I want to use, and we have it all on the computer. So if they want to use a worksheet, they click on it. If they want to use a video, they click on it, and then they can just go to the activity that they need to do, and we've incorporated the planetarium into our science curriculum. We've also tried to teach the kids different strategies to deal with word problems. In math, it's called cubes, and what they have to do is circle important numbers, underline a question, box action words, evaluate the steps, and then solve it. So if you walk into a classroom, the teachers, like at the Promethean, or a child's at the Promethean, actually circle in words or breaking apart those problems so they can read them to see what they have to answer. And then in reading, we use one of the strategies we use is RACER, where we restate, answer, cite, explain, and then revise. But my most exciting thing that I want to tell you about today, and I know y'all are really enjoying this, but the most important thing I want to tell you about today is that our 4th and 5th graders now each have their own Chromebook, which they can go into you can go into any 4th or 5th grade classroom, and each child has that Chromebook, not out all the time, but when they need it out to do a writing, and they can now, we're teaching the teachers how to get the kids to write a passage on the computer and then send it to the teacher so that there's no paperwork involved in it. It's all like on the computer, because we want to train these kids by the time they get to 5th grade to be able to be very computer savvy, okay? And in 4th grade and 3rd grade, they still do paper and pencil tests, but we still want to do they have to have some knowledge of the computer when they get to 5th grade, because it's kind of like if we don't do that, then they'll be lost. So basically, that's it. Oh, and then the lower grades have iPads. We have like 5 iPads in every classroom for them to use too. And we're working on 3rd grade now. So I'm excited about that. And Cliff, you look real excited.
Well, I'm extremely excited because you know me. You know, I'm so glad the 4th and 5th graders have Chromebooks.
Yes, they do, and that, thanks to Miss Voce,
Third graders
we'll have them. Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Yes, they will.
Awesome.
I didn't want to say that, so I'll let Mr. Williams say that.
Well, yeah. But yeah, awesome. I mean, you know, Ms. Leanne Halton, I've campaigned for this for how long?
Mhm.
You know, for
The computer guy, I remember.
Yeah, that's it. You know, since the '90s, I've been campaigning this. So I'm glad to
know.
see this happening in our schools. It is long.
But it's amazing how we use data, though. It's amazing how you can really focus in on what a child needs.
Right,
And what,
right.
instead of just saying, okay, he missed 10 problems on this test, go fix them. Well, find out why he missed
Right, exactly.
those
We can
problems on a
analyze
test, and
that.
then we can really fix them.
So, any of the board members have any questions? Hey, Miss, and you too? And you too? Okay. Ladies first. Ms. Lamont.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Gaines. Thank you, Ms. Harleton, for your presentation. You can certainly see your passion and your energy. You're jumping up and down behind the podium, you know, with excitement to tell us
I
about
still
this.
have that energy.
Yes, I know you do. And I just want to take a moment to really thank and commend our teachers and the teacher leaders.
Thank you.
You know, when I'm listening to this plan and looking over everything that you have written, the amount of planning and organization that it takes to put this together and really meet every student where they're at with all of these interventions is amazing. And when I walk through the schools, I see the level of engagement and support that our students are getting, especially at this critical time, elementary school. So thank you, teachers, Ms. Harleton,
I will.
principals.
And can I add to that, I want to thank, in particularly at the elementary level, Christy Wilhelmus and Brenda Montalbano and Tessie White, who worked extremely hard to get all this put out to the teachers. And I know at the middle and high school, Mary and Nicole Bauer and Stephanie Sago do the same thing. But, you know, we're lucky to have people that are passionate about what they're doing, and, you know, it's never ending. They're always looking for better ways to make it for the kids and for the teachers. Next.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Gaines. Ms. Halton, good report, and it is exciting. Learning is exciting, and every teacher has a responsibility of teaching reading in their particular subjects, because each subject is unique. I taught math, and of course, a lot of people back in the old days, they stayed away from the stated problem. Well, that was one of my favorite things. I went to the stated problems and the written problems first of all, and as you say, taking it apart. Really, the stated problems is just a little story, and within that story are key words that's involved. And if you see sum in there, you know you're going to add. If you see difference, you know you're going to subtract. If you see product, you know you're going to multiply. You see quotient, well, it's some division involved. And sometimes it's a multiple step problem, and again, breaking apart, as you've indicated, is extremely important, and get them to the point that they're not afraid of it. Apprehension is sometimes a major enemy when you're trying to break them apart, as you have indicated. So it's important that you, in every subject, that you get that terminology down where they understand it. And of course, to get that terminology, you have a lot of repetition, you have to have a lot of examples, so forth and so on, to make that happen. So we're proud of the program that you've got, and there's, as the old saying goes, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I think you found that. Thank you very much.
And you know, when you go to the schools, I want you to look at some of the work that the children do to solve these, especially math problems. They have work all over the place, okay? And it's amazing what their thought process is. But I thought it was funny when you said about word problems, because when I went to school, I don't know how I got to be such a good math person, because we always skipped the word problems. My teacher always skipped the word problems. You know, you did the computation and you just skipped the word problems. Not now. Not now. It's not like that. And it's very complex. And most of the problems, I would say, are multi-step problems at this point now.
Any other board members?
Ms. Harleton, I know on there, under the interventions, you mentioned Lexia. Can parents and students, they can access that from
Yes,
home
they
now
can.
as well?
Yes.
So
And
they can get that
access
from
Zern
the...
from home too, because Zern is the one we use for math.
Okay, and so they'll go to the website, school website?
They go to our website at the homepage of their school, and they just go down and click on it. and they can get on it.
Lexia and Zern. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Anybody else? Oh, Mrs. Dolce.
The only thing I want to reiterate, and, Ms. Harleton mentioned it, Ms. Lemoyne, and the people around, nothing works unless you have good teachers who are willing to work hard to change maybe older habits into things that we need to do now, and to put forth that effort and that time to really analyze data, to look at children individually, to learn all the new technology, because it's really nice to have all this technology, but the interaction of that technology, if it doesn't work, it's a real killer to any type of a program. So Mary Lametta, Conrad Brown, the curriculum people, we work very, very, very hard to make sure that it is accessible. Most, like 99% of the time, we hope. But the teachers have really stepped up in the professional learning communities and buying into the program, realizing that the strategies we need to make sure that we're using to help the children achieve, because I was joking with Mr. England, I didn't know if he could pass fourth grade nowadays. I don't know about the rest of us
I'd like to
around
give you the
here.
test.
But what we're learning is
Social
when nobody
studies.
skips word problems, that's where you start
That's where you
nowadays.
start.
Computation and just the skill-based in ELA and math, they no longer work. I mean, this is not something that is the accepted norm. That is almost a given that has to be there, whereas we are much more involved in the more complex procedures, both in ELA math, and it spills over into the science and the social studies. So it has been a tremendous amount of work that has been necessary for our teachers to move forward in that direction, for our school-based administrators, and for all of us as well. And everyone has been extremely cooperative. People realize that this is all in the best interest of our students, and we've made tremendous forward progress. So I want to just take this chance to opportunity to publicly thank our teachers especially, and our school administrators for jumping into this and moving forward. And I think we're seeing much more forward movement and improvement this year. I'd say in this 9-week period, more than I've seen in any 9-week period in the last several years. So thank you to Ms. Harleton and Ms. Lametta and the people in this administrative office, as well as our school-based administrators and teachers. It's been a united effort.
And thank you so much for saying that. And before I left, I wanted to say I hope some of these teachers are watching, but thank you very much because you're doing an awesome job. And so are the administrators at all the schools, because they're very grounded in this new approach that we're taking.
Before you leave, Ms.
Yes.
Holton, I want to mention something, a point of privilege here. Many, many moons ago, I had this apprehensive student in my class of principals. It was supposed to be this...
It was me.
Yes, it was you. Very, very apprehensive student that was first learning how to use technology in the classroom. And we had this program called Louisiana InTech. And she was my best student out of that group.
I tried.
She did.
And I learned all the new stuff along the way.
Oh, yes, she did. And I want to just point that out. You're right, Ms. Foche. Good teachers always retrain themselves to take the best
for sure,
of
you have to.
You have to.
And that's why I want to thank these teachers who are doing that, especially the ones that have been around a while, who have to change what they're so used to doing.
Thank
like
you, Ms.
me.
Holton. Yeah.
But
Thank you again, Ms.
Thank y'all.
Holton.
That's it, Mr. Gaines? Okay, move on to item number 7, personnel changes. Mr. Granberry, glad to have you here.
Good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
There's the information.
Is the information sheet here for the appointments, medical leaves, resident, support personnel, and retiree. Right, and we got Audrey Sino, Gautier Elementary, Hope she has a good retirement. And how we staffed right now, Mr. President?
Well, the 2 appointments at the top filled what we needed, and then you got the 2 resignations underneath it that opened up spots again.
Huh.
So,
Yeah.
But we okay with math teachers right now, huh?
well,
At this moment.
yeah, at this moment, you
As we
know.
speak, huh?
As we speak.
got-
The positions are filled as we speak. Let's put
Okay,
it that
fine.
way.
Any questions for Mr. Granberry? If not, thank you, sir. Okay, move on to item number 8, superintendent's recommendation. Ms. Foche.
Well, actually, as what usually happens when we do super news, all of the regular announcements that I was going to make, we have fulfilled that at that particular time, especially with the Ring Day coming up Thursday, which is extremely important, and Report Card Conference day and night on the 24th. If you notice, though, at the regular meeting, we will have the results of the 2016-17 financial and compliance audit, for the year ending June 30th of 2017. I think, as usual, we're going to be very pleased with the outcome, but our auditors will be here at the regular meeting to make that presentation.
Okay, great.
Okay?
This is on Sunday, not Saturday.
Oh, okay. The vocal competition that, the opera competition that everyone asked about, it is Sunday, October 15th. So it's this Sunday, not Saturday. Sunday, October 15th at Tulane University's Dixon Hall at 12:30 in the afternoon. So anyone wishing to, as we stated earlier, it's free, open to the public. Anyone wishing to hear our 4 finalists along with the others in the metro area, it will be Sunday, October 15th at 12:30 p.m. at Tulane University's Dixon Hall.
That's it, Ms. Foche?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything from any board members? If not, we move on to item number 9, adjournment. Have Ms. Acevedo and second by Mr. Campbell. All in favor? Aye. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you and good night. Right? Huh?